Hi kids! Did you watch the video titled Bloom What You Planted? If you haven't watched that one, go to my page, Julie's Journey with Jesus, and check it out. This story is the true story about that video. Have you ever wondered how you ended up where you are? How is it that you live where you live? That you have the parents that you have, the brothers or sisters that you have? How did you get here? Well, there's an answer to that in the Bible. God planted you right where He wanted you, right where He wanted you to bloom. In our last video, I was planting some seeds. Of course, it wasn't a true story. But what happened after I planted my seeds? Did pink and purple flowers grow? Of course not. Mostly because I didn't plant pink and purple flower seeds. I did plant some small things in my story. I planted this cup, and it grew into a bigger cup. Everything I planted did grow, but they were still what I planted. They just grew bigger and changed slightly. The shovel was still a shovel, the wagon was still a wagon, and the chicken was still a chicken. When God created you, He created you to be you. Of course, you will grow up and you'll change some. You'll get taller or bigger. You might need glasses or braces. Maybe your hair color will even change. But you will still be you no matter what. I have things I've always loved and things I've never liked to do. Those desires make me who I am. And the things you love make you who you are. In the Bible, in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 4, it says, "Just as He chose us in Him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before Him in love, having predestined us to adoption as sons by Jesus Christ to Himself, according to the good pleasure of His will, to the praise of the glory of His grace, by which He made us accepted in the Beloved. In Him we have redemption through His blood, the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of His grace." Now that's a lot of verses, but that means before He created the whole world, God was already thinking about creating us and planting us right where we belong. The word predestined means God purposefully planned it. Why would God do that? Well, the answer is in the beginning of this verse. He chose us in Him. That means He chose us because Jesus loves us. He had a plan for each of us, a plan that is far bigger than we could ever imagine. He knew before we were born what we would look like, what our personalities would be like, the things we would love. He knew what our names would be, where we would live, who our friends would be. He knew it all because God knows everything. And He created us to love Him. Now, what if we say, well, God didn't choose me. I'm not good enough to love God. He wouldn't want me. That's not true. Remember the words from the verse? It said He chose us in Him. That means as believers in Jesus, God sees us through the eyes of His Son. He sent His Son so we could be forgiven. And God looks on us through Jesus as His holy, sinless creation. So the good news is, you are good enough for God to have chosen you. There's another verse in the Bible, in John chapter 15, verse 16, that says, "You have not chosen me, but I," that means God, "have chosen you to go and bring forth fruit." Wow, that sounds like blooming to me. Did that say that God chose each one of us to bloom where He planted us? Of course it does. He created you and put you here for a very special purpose. And He knew only you can be you. No one else can be you. No matter what. If God planted you in His garden, you will still be you. He chose you. One thing about all this, when God chose you, He gave you a choice too. You can choose to believe or reject Him. He gave everyone a choice. Will you choose to believe He loves you and sent His Son to die on the cross to forgive you? The verse in Ephesians says, before God created the whole world, He chose you to be His child, to bloom where He planted you. Will you choose Him? You will still be you, just like the things in my garden. But if you believe Jesus died for you, you will be changed. God will change your heart. He will forgive your sin and call you His child. He will make you more beautiful than a whole garden of pink and purple flowers. And that will be just perfect. Love you all. Make sure you like and subscribe to my videos. See you next week. Bye.